What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the LA Soccer Hub Show. Today's Monday, November 1st. We're already in Monday. Final couple games for the MLS season for both LAFC and LA Galaxy. So today we're doing a special show. The Galaxy played today at 7 on Monday versus the Seattle Sounders. And tomorrow, LAFC play against the Vancouver Whitecaps. So this is going to be a pre-recorded show. I got both JP who writes for LA, who covers for us LAFC, and obviously Alex, who writes for the LA Galaxy. JP, how you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you guys?
Pretty good. Alex, how you doing?
Doing pretty good.
JP, you look like you had a great weekend this past
Yeah,
weekend.
I had an eventful Halloween.
Look, Halloween's always it was a great time. What'd you dress up as?
It was very last minute, so I just put khakis, a Hawaiian shirt, found a bucket hat, and try to be a tourist. So
Hey, that's not bad. You know what? I was a tourist
Creative.
in college when I dressed up as a tourist in college for a
yeah,
Halloween party. That's cool. What about you, Alex? What'd you dress up as?
I was on TikTok and I saw people doing like pumpkin head things, so I decided to do that. I just wore like a khakis flannel and then put a pumpkin over my head. That was it.
Nice. So your head smelled like pumpkin.
Yeah, I
Pumpkin
did. I
seed.
had to shower a couple of times to really get rid of the smell, but it's all gone now.
Oh, I think you still have a little something on your
No,
head.
no, don't mess with me like that.
That's cool. I didn't dress up. I didn't do anything. I was busy. I had covered some things. I was working this weekend as well. So, but I did partake in some of the activities during the day. So, I mean, I was able to be on Melrose, saw a bunch of stuff, got a couple giveaways. But look, it's always special. Everybody dressed up. I did see LAFC. A couple of guys got dressed up. We saw Brian Rodriguez, obviously Carlos Vela, and then also the LA Galaxy. I think Efrain Alvarez
He was
had
Jigsaw.
Jigsaw, right?
Yeah, and
From
he was on
yeah,
the bike going to everybody in the locker room, so that was pretty funny.
yeah. No, that was amazing. I did also see on TikTok like a little kid dressed up as a paletero, like as a little paletero man. I don't know if you guys saw
Interesting.
that.
No,
yeah.
I didn't see that.
He had like it was funny. He had like the little cart. So his mom made him a little cart. He had like Cheetos in the front. He had Takis, and he had like whatever the kid's name was on the side. It was like paletas, but yeah. No,
Interesting. Never
I
heard
was
of
it
that
was
before.
yeah, no, it was pretty cool. I had like a couple million likes, so I was like, this is amazing. But look, we're here to talk MLS standings, both LAFC and LA Galaxy. So let's talk about that because it's interesting, right? On one hand, yeah, LAFC had an impressive win against the Seattle Sounders, right? But unfortunately, still sit in ninth place. On the other hand, Galaxy come from a tough loss against Sporting KC, away without Chicharito. Now they're in seventh seed, going playing the Galaxy, playing the Sounders today. So it's tough because anything can happen. Both teams could either be in, both teams could either be out. One team could be in or out. So it's very unpredictable in these last two games, and especially decision day is going to be very critical. JP, I'll start with you. How are you feeling about obviously LAFC going into tomorrow's game?
There's no margin for error. You can't drop points. It's 6 for 6 to get into playoffs. 4 out of 6, kind of. You gotta wait for a lot of results to go your way. So ultimately, if LAFC get 6 points, they should be in playoffs.
Yeah, as we can see the standings there. Obviously, we have, like I said, LA Galaxy in the seventh seed with 46 points. Real Salt Lake with 45 points in eighth place, and LAFC with 44 points in ninth place. Alex, how you feeling about the Galaxy going tonight against the Seattle Sounders? Right, it's not going to be an easy game. The Sounders are in second seed, but they're also fighting for that first seed. How you feeling about the team today?
It's definitely going to be a really big test and the biggest indicator of this team and if this season will be considered a failure or not. Because if we make the playoffs, this season really isn't a failure. Last couple of years have been horrible, and then now under year one with Greg Manning, you're making the playoffs. That's a big step in improvement. Both teams have something to play for. As you mentioned, it's going to be an emotional night too in Seattle. Jordan Morris will make his return, and he's like a hero up there in Seattle. So Seattle's definitely going to be rocking. They are also trying to get the number one seed with Sporting Kansas City, who lost yesterday to Minnesota, and that was a key game for both LA Galaxy and LAFC. Both of the fan bases had to pay attention to that game, and now Seattle, they can be the number one seed now, so they're definitely going to be playing with everything here. The Galaxy, this is the biggest test, biggest game of the year. Like I can't hype it up anymore. This is the biggest game of the year because if you get a win here, you climb up to fourth or fifth place, and I know mathematically, they wouldn't lock in a playoff spot, but more than likely they will if they win this game. Most likely they'll be a low seed, but I think that this is the biggest game and it'll be the biggest test of this team. I'm hoping Greg Vanney tactically switches things up a little bit, but we'll have to see later tonight in Seattle.
Yeah, because look, like I said, if they get a win, somehow get an incredible win, because it's gonna be tough. They would be tied in fourth place with the Portland Timbers, who are currently right. They have 49 points. Another thing to that as well is I believe they should have Raul Rudy Diaz back, right? Or
I'm not sure about that. I know Jordan Morris, but I
Jordan
don't know
Morris.
if
What about João Paulo?
João
Yeah.
Paulo's coming back because he was
Yeah.
on yellow card accumulation suspension.
Okay, so that was big for them when I was watching when I was at the LAFC game, because the midfield, there's nothing in the midfield. Obviously, the threat up top is not the same without Raul Ruiz Diaz. But if they get someone in the midfield, it could make things a little bit more difficult for the LA Galaxy. I also think for the Galaxy, like, I'm with you on this one, because yeah, if they get a win tonight, and then whatever happens with Minnesota on decision day, right? It's a lot more. You make it more simple. You make it make things easier on yourself if you're the Galaxy. If you get a victory tonight, I mean, a tie. 1 point's not going to be bad, but it's not ideal. Especially after that loss to Sporting KC, and also that tie. I also feel that tie against FC Dallas really made things very difficult, because instead of getting that tie, you could have had the 3 points to look. They could have been in fifth place with 48 points if they would have gone all 3 points against Dallas. But unfortunately, now they're in the seventh spot, and when you're just hanging by a thread, it's not a good spot to be in. But like, I think this is also a good test for the Galaxy to see how they will do if they make it in the playoffs, right? Because if they want to make a deep run, you got to know that one way or another you're going to run through the Seattle Sounders one way or another. So this is going to be a potentially good test to see how they do. Like, the MLS schedule is weird, right? We got a game Monday, we got a game Tuesday. Why not make it this past Saturday? I don't know what the reasoning is for this, or Wednesday. I think that the scheduling hopefully next season can be better. I know it was like with the CBA this year, but hopefully next year it can be a lot better, and it's not as crammed as it was this year. JP, when you're seeing the game today, because today's Galaxy game is also big for you guys. It's also big for LAFC, because depending how Galaxy, if they win, obviously that doesn't help you guys. But if they lose or if they tie, it keeps you guys a little bit more in contention. How you feeling? How you feeling about watching or seeing what the result will be for the Galaxy today?
Yeah, you just have to wait, for teams to drop points. LAFC can easily wake up tomorrow, or wake up on Wednesday above the playoff line. If LA Galaxy don't win and LAFC win. So yeah, I'm watching, all the other teams play. I saw the beginning of the SKC game. I was like, okay, 1-0, they should win. Took a nap, woke up, Minnesota won. I was like, oh, did not expect that. But yeah, I mean, you gotta really be watching everything, doing all the math, who has to lose, who has to win. But like I said, LAFC gets 6 points. Doesn't really matter what about the other results. They should be in there at least at 7th.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Alex, another thing. Jorge Villafana should be available for the LA Galaxy.
I don't think so.
No,
I don't
he's
think
not gonna
so.
be available?
No, he's not match fit either way, even if he was.
Well, let's talk about that position, because Nico, he's been up and down. That position has been head scratching, right? Without Jorge Villafana actually being there available, we know Greg Vanney has put in Nico, but that's gonna you gotta assume that's gonna be the left side of LFC, LA Galaxy, excuse me, is a side that the Sounders are definitely gonna attack, because it's been the most vulnerable at times this season.
Oh yeah, for sure. And Johnny Russell literally put that on display the entire game against SKC. Johnny Russell had his way, and honestly, this is what I'm talking about when I'm saying Greg Vanney needs to switch things up tactically. Like Nico Heimelainen, I think me and Gio, we can agree. Like he's good attacking wise. Down that left flank, he's really good. But defending, not so much. Tracking back, trying to cover crosses, not really that guy to be put in front of a winger. So I think if I'm Greg Vanney, I want him to be playing as a wing back. Because if we need to have somebody at that left hand side. And if we want to utilize the best of Nico, play him as the left wing back. That's his best position, his natural position. He's not a great defender. Play with 3 center backs. Honestly, that's what should be done, especially against Seattle. So I'm hoping we see that adjustment, because Nico defensively has been such a liability that I think If we're trying to, because we need to play him because there's nobody else who can play at that left back spot. So if we're gonna play him, might as well play with his strengths and have him be a left wing back and have him go up the flanks.
Yeah, and that I mean that's going to be very very crucial for the Galaxy how they play that back line because I mean Seattle in Seattle is not easy win and also the turf. Let's not forget about the turf
Yeah.
because I mean that adds a component. The ball's a lot faster. The touches on the ball can be completely different, and I think that's I mean that's the biggest challenge when you're up there. It's going to be chilly. It's going to be the water. I mean the weather is going to be a lot more wet. So the ball definitely spins. It's also November, so I mean it's gonna be cloudy. I know it's cloudy here today in LA, so we'll have to see what this game goes. But how you feeling about Chicharito? Because I know Greg Vanney said he was gonna be available, but like if he wasn't able to travel, obviously we don't know how serious it was, but he wasn't able to travel. He's probably better. He probably feels better. He probably got some vitamin C and he feels better. But how you feeling about Chicharito? Because they're gonna need Chicharito today if they're gonna win, right? Because without in Sporting KC, you saw the big drop off. How you feeling about Chicharito being able to help the team today?
Oh yeah, before I get to that, you mentioned the turf too is like a 50% chance to rain in Seattle. So there's some more weather conditions that they have to get used to. But going on to talking about Chicharito, yeah, he's definitely going to be needed to play. And another tactical thing that I want to see changed is let's start Dejan Joveljic next to him because Seattle play with a back three and Chicharito alone in the 2 games that he's played against Seattle was a no-show. He literally could not get any consistent touches on the ball. And even if he did, it was just a quick touch pass back and that was it. If we want to break the Seattle back three, we need to have Dejan Joveljic and Chicharito up front. I think Chicharito's runs, his passes have all been excellent this year, and he's been the best player on the Galaxy team when it comes to scoring goals and getting that offense going. And he needs to be 100% and just be playing the best that he can and needs some assistance with Dejan Joveljic up front because alone he's not going to get through those 3 center backs by himself. He needs more help.
Yeah, no, he's going to be very crucial. So talking from one Mexican star to another, Carlos Vela, JP, you and I were at the game against Seattle Sounders. Impressive win. Did not expect a 3-0 pounding from LAFC to the Sounders.
Yeah.
But we did see Carlos Vela back.
Yeah.
Obviously we did see Chicho score. We did see Latif score. It was an impressive game from the LAFC side. Whether Seattle was fully healthy or not doesn't matter. They got the 3 points. They got the must win. But we saw Carlos Vela come back. We saw the standing ovation. We saw how much LAFC fans still love him, regardless. People are upset. We saw that the passion's still there from the fans, and it was good to see him come on the field. What were your thoughts on seeing that? When we saw that from the fans?
I did not expect that reception. He even said it. He didn't expect it. That was a big pop from the crowd once he came in. Once the announcer said, Carlos, and then everybody, screamed his last name and cheered for him. Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect that. It's good to see him back. Bob, I think, did a good job of managing the game. Not forcing him more than 10, 15 minutes when he went in. But yeah, I mean, now he has to really get fit, match fit. If we make playoffs or maybe for that final crucial game on decision day versus the Rapids, because I don't think he's going to be match fit or like 100% match fit for tomorrow. But I think he should see a bit more minutes than what he saw against Seattle.
Yeah, even just right, whatever what he paid 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But like you could assume he maybe could go 20, 30 minutes potentially tomorrow. But the offenses look good, right? Brian Rodriguez, Chicho, Danny Masevsky, they all been getting in the mix. Now you add Carlos Vela, right? So you got to assume Danny Masevsky's his minutes are going to be the first ones they're going to be cut. Brian Rodriguez is also he may not go the full 90 minutes if you have Carlos Vela, if you try to play with 2 attackers up top. But so it's an interesting mix. But the Vancouver Whitecaps are not an easy team. They're not going to be an easy team because they're rolling. They're rolling right now. Even though it's and they're in the sixth seed right now with 47 points. So it's not going to be an easy game because they want to win. You guys want to win. They win. They pretty much almost secure a playoff win, right? They bump up and they secure a playoff win. A tie doesn't help you guys. You guys gotta essentially gotta win out. How you feeling about that game? How you feeling about facing a red hot Vancouver Whitecaps?
Streaks are meant to be broken. So I think that's what the team should be thinking. They seem positive. They all seemed happy yesterday. Regardless if it was just Halloween. The team seemed happy together. Vela's back, so that's another bonus off the bench. We're at home. The crowd is really going to be behind them this game. They should be ready. Beating 3-0, beating Seattle 3-0 is not an easy task. So they have to believe in themselves in order to win this game. Because this is the first real final, or first real playoff game. If they wanna make it to playoffs in the season. They beat the Vancouver Whitecaps. They hop them. They jump them. So from goal differential to overall wins in the season, the two main tiebreakers, LAFC would jump them with the same points, but that would be the difference maker.
Yeah, so I'm pulling the stats up right there so we can see it again. For those listening, so we see Vancouver Whitecaps 447. Alex, I also got to assume that you want Vancouver to drop points, and you potentially, you'd like a tie at it from LAFC Vancouver, because that would essentially help you guys, right? Because if Vancouver wins, obviously they get 3 points. They go right above you guys for sure. I mean, they're already above you guys, but they extend that gap with you guys. But I got to assume you're also going to be paying attention to that LAFC game tomorrow.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'll definitely be watching it. And best case scenario for LA Galaxy, if they lose this game, is a tie between Vancouver and LAFC. That's the best case scenario, really. And all the games I've been watching all of them, scoreboard watching and stuff. So every single thing matters. Even I'm worried about the Galaxy's goal difference. When it comes down to decision day, I'm hoping that goal difference is a bit closer to 0, just in case, tied on points, and that's the tiebreaker. I'm hoping the Galaxy just kind of fakes that a little bit, whether it be scoring goals today in Seattle or whether it be on decision day against Minnesota.
Yeah, because if we see the Galaxy goal differentials -4, so it's not looking good. But you gotta see, you're gonna need some help from that. JP, I wanted to ask you. We just talked about Carlos Vela. He also did an interview on Thursday, this past Thursday. Give me your initial thoughts of the interview. What were your thoughts on the interview? I felt like him doing an interview, to me, that just told me that he's essentially going to stay next year. That's just my assumption. But what did you think of the interview? Did you like it? Did you enjoy it? And then what were your thoughts?
I think there were like 3 major takeaways from it. In a 30-minute interview, and you only have 3 major takeaways. I guess it kind of highlights how business professional it was. He said he wanted to win MLS Cup with LAFC. That was his goal. Obviously, that doesn't really seem likely this season. So it implies that next season's the one he wants to really win it in. He said he's trying to convince Antoine Griezmann to come to LAFC, which is another big one, a big star. I guess the second biggest star to come to LAFC if that ever happens. And he just overall just made it seem like he was going to stay. It's not like he felt sad about leaving LAFC or anything. He really they didn't confirm it, they didn't say it, but it felt like he was gonna stay, and this was in his last dance.
Yeah, I mean, I felt anytime a player like him is wanting to an interview during the season, it's interesting. One thing I did find a little interesting was they turned off the comments. I saw people on Twitter that they turned off the comments because I thought this was supposed to be for the fans.
He
So I just kind of
he
found that
saved,
interesting.
like Max picked some questions, and then if you like look at it over again, he picked one saying asking if there's gonna be Vela for still gonna be Vela next year, and then he didn't ask that question, but Max saved it. So like you can kind of see that he saved it, but he just didn't ask it. So I guess that was Max trying to be tricky or like an Easter egg right there. But he picked like three questions, and one of those was, is Vela gonna stay? But he didn't ask Vela that. He just picked it, so everybody who saw it could see it. So I don't know if he was teasing that, but yeah, because they didn't confirm anything, obviously, but he did save that little question. So I don't know, that I caught that. I don't know if he didn't mean to, or if he knew what he was doing and teasing us.
Oh yeah, I don't know how IG Live works like that anyways. But yeah, actually, I think to me is pretty straightforward. I think he's staying. Whether they're gonna ask him or not, I just thought this was more of the fan. It was more of a fan interview type of thing. And I just found it interesting that they turned off the comments. Alex, what were your thoughts? I'm not sure if you saw it, but what are your thoughts of the whole thing? Bella doing an interview on IG Live?
Yeah, I heard about it, saw the quotes from it, of course, and stuff. And I honestly think it's great. I hope Carlos Vela stays with LAFC. I want MLS to keep growing, and I think he's one of the best ever players to come play in this league. So I'm kind of hoping he kind of does stay. He's an LAFC legend for sure, and he's definitely probably going to get a statue like the Galaxy do with some of their players, hopefully. And I'm kind of hoping he does.
Statue without you got to win first, don't you think? Don't you got to win an MLS Cup
Well, we'll
first?
see. But I mean, he's a club legend. If we're being honest, I mean, every LAFC fan can agree. Like, oh yeah, he's the greatest player of all time for the club, and he has a
Legend.
lot
Look,
of meaning.
I agree with you, but I think for him, this is just my personal take. Anybody that's gotten a statue, at least in LA, has won a championship.
Mhm.
So I agree with you. He's up there, but I feel like you got to win a championship or multiple championships to potentially
Yeah, we'll see. I
get.
don't know what the criteria is or whatever, but we'll see. But yeah, just on that topic, yeah, I think it's great. Him trying to recruit Antoine Griezmann is pretty cool. So, that's great for the city. And I think everybody in LA just wants to see a Chicharito Vela LAFC LA Galaxy game one of these days. And, we haven't gotten it for the past 2 years. And hopefully this, third time's a charm.
Yeah, I hope that happens. I definitely hope that happens, and I do hope Carlos Vela is able to get a statue, but I feel like you got to get some championships first because I think that should at least be the criteria. I think JP kind of
Supporter
might have
Shield doesn't count.
That's not
It's
what
true. It doesn't count. If we're gonna go off like criteria for trophies, like if he only gets a trophy because of the supporter shield, it's kind of whack. It doesn't really mean anything.
Well, I don't. Well, yeah. To me, yeah, you definitely got to get some championships. But yeah, look, it's interesting. Yeah, Bruce Arena had talked about that, and I know I made a lot of noise. Well, I think Hercules
Yeah,
Gomez.
everyone in New England hates him now, so it's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But I mean, it's a good take because let's be honest, most of us forgot that the Union won the supporter shield last year, and then I think it was in 2019. It was LAFC, I think, right, who won the supporter shield that year. And then 2018 it was Toronto. Like nobody really cares much about them unless they win everything like MLS Cup, uh, supporter shield, and maybe even CONCACAF Champions League. Because Greg
US Cup.
Vanny's Toronto were so close to getting that triple trophies, getting the CONCACAF Champions League because of Michael Bradley messed up. Then they had a supporter shield, and then they won MLS Cup. It was almost perfect for them.
Yeah, no, I think that's the interesting. And hopefully next season when they do the schedule, because Bruce Arena, I'm just gonna paraphrase here. It's like he was just saying like they don't play everybody in the league, right? And that's true. And I think it's more on the MLS than it is on New England or it is on the fans. And it's just like I saw what Hercules Gomez was doing. He was just talking about it and he was just being honest about it. And I guess maybe he was, and maybe it did come off across to some New England fans that hey, this doesn't really matter. He was maybe I know fans sometimes take it personal, but um maybe the words he used may have not been could have been used differently, I guess. But I got his point. I understood what he was trying to say. And I think he just went a little more into it than Bruce Arena. And I think that's what kind of upset some of the fans. But
Yeah, I mean it makes sense because the Revs haven't really won much, and this is kind of like their biggest major trophy, in all of their existence in recent memory. So when somebody's kind of thrashing about it, saying it doesn't really mean much, then I kind of understand the reaction. But at the same time, Hercules Gomez isn't wrong. The supporter shield doesn't really matter.
JP, your thoughts? I know you just hopped on. Does the
Yeah,
supporter shield matter? Yes or no?
I think it does. It gives you automatic bid to the CONCACAF Champions League. I think that's why it matters the most. And then it's a
Solid
piece of
point.
silverware. People celebrate the FA Cup, Copa del Rey. They still are proud to win that. But yeah, I mean, I still don't think this Revs title matches LAFC's title.
Tell
I
us.
don't.
He's
I
just salty.
don't.
He's just
I
salty. They
don't.
estimate
I
points. He's
Okay,
just
so
don't.
salty.
let's
They
let's let's
estimate
let's
points.
be
You just
look,
listen to Herc's point. Herc put it the best.
73 points in LA. New England. Let me just be clear. New England got 73 points, and
The
LAFC
Revs
was
did
at
not play
72.
every single team this season. LAFC did. The Revs didn't. But barely played like one team with 13 wins
I
this
think they
season.
played only 2 Western Conference teams or
Yeah.
three this
So
this year.
the East has always been weaker. They barely, they won most of their games just by a goal. They never, really, stomped on over these teams throughout the season. So it wasn't as convincing or as spectacular as LAFC's. The points are there, but if you really go look at the eye test, then I think LAFC's was a bit more of a spectacle.
I mean, I understand your point, but like you mentioned while you're talking about it, putting supporter shield the same thing as what FA Cup, Copa del Rey, even though they're two different kind of trophies, because Copa del Rey is like an inner season trophy, and then you have
Yeah.
Supporter Shield, which is kind of just the top of the table, which in most major leagues, top of the table means you win the title most of the time, which is kind of the weird thing about MLS, which is why I kind of have it only means something if you go on and win MLS Cup, and that's the only time I can really agree. Like, oh yeah, this Supporter Shield here matters, because showed not only were we the best team in the playoffs, but we were the best team in the entire regular season. That's why it really needs context of Supporter Shields to really show that, yeah, it's a meaningful trophy. Most of the time, a lot of teams that win the Supporter Shield don't usually win MLS Cup, and that's why I don't revere it as something where so spectacular or something too celebratory, because at the end of the day, you want to have the MLS Cup, not the Supporter Shield.
Yeah, and I think that's more on the MLS. We were just talking earlier, JP. I know you weren't on. That that's what the league has to do a better job. Like, if you're gonna have the Supporters Shield, like, everybody has to be able to play everybody. Understand they made the schedule, but it's like it's really unbalanced if you're playing and you're facing the same teams, right? And you're not facing, because I don't think they faced LAFC, they didn't face LA Galaxy. They faced LAFC in the preseason, but they didn't face LAFC during the season. They didn't face Seattle. I don't know if they faced Sporting Kansas City. It's mostly all the East Coast teams.
Yeah.
So it's like, to me, like, I don't want to like put, because it's they're the best team, right? But like, we'll see playoff time. But I also have no doubt that Bruce Arena knows what he's doing, and he's a hell of a coach, and I don't want to discredit that. But I also agree with what he said. I think the MLS just needs to do a better job of making sure everybody faces everybody, and then you have more of that context. What Alex said, because then you're like, yeah, we played everybody, we beat everybody, or we got the most points out of everybody. And then it makes it that much more valuable, even though it's still valuable, because you do get that, you do punch your ticket to the Champions League, to the CONCACAF Champions League, which is obviously the biggest tournament. Everybody wants to play, everybody wants to be in it. But yeah, that's also going to be interesting to what is it, the League's Cup? When Liga MX and MLS, that's gonna be interesting too, right? How obviously we know how that's gonna work, but it's who's facing who, which team's facing this, who played this. I know it's gonna be like a month-long break or 2-month-long break from each leagues, but I think it's gonna be very, very interesting, because once that comes into play, and who gets to play into the CONCACAF and everything like that. So it's interesting, but I agree. Next year it has to have more context, because I'm also glad that a person like Hercules Gomez, who has probably like one of the biggest voices in MLS, is willing to say that, and obviously go on a limb. And obviously it's gonna happen. Fans are gonna get upset. Fans are gonna take it personal. But maybe his wording could have been better, a lot better than he did, like on TV. But you're never gonna be able to say the perfect thing at the perfect time, especially when you're on TV, honestly. But I think him saying that, I know the league's paying attention. They just got to do a better job of that and making it more of that context. And then that way, even if they don't win MLS Cup or whatever, they're like, okay, but they did beat everybody, or they had an opportunity to play everybody. They had an opportunity to get all those points. And it was a challenging task during the season. But at the end of the day, as of right now, the MLS Cup is still the trophy that everybody wants, because it is the hardest one. It is the one that everyone goes for. So we'll see what happens moving next season. But yeah, we'll see. Also, I think a lot of people are going to pay attention to the Revs. See how they do, because I know there's a lot of memes are like, oh, they're going to get knocked down in the first round. I'm like, I don't know if they're going to knock down the first round. If that happens, then yeah,
that happened to Philadelphia last year. They won the Supporter Shield, and then they got knocked out in the first round.
Yeah, didn't they have like a fake Supporter Shield, or like
it's a Mickey Mouse Supporter Shield? If we're being honest, you had a shortened season and stuff. That's why everybody talks about the Lakers or the Dodgers having Mickey Mouse trophies, just because the season was shortened.
Yeah. Look, Dodgers, man, brutal. I'm glad that roller coaster of my emotions is not.
Oh yeah, man, that was horrible.
Yeah, and then now the Braves are about to beat the Astros.
The Braves are gonna choke right now. They lost yesterday. They started the game with a grand slam, and then the Astros came back and won.
Yeah, like we don't need to go down that path. I think by emotions with the Dodgers. We'll see what happens
It'll
next
get
year.
worse this offseason. Just wait till people leave. Wait till
Oh
Kershaw
yeah,
goes
look,
to
I'm not
Texas.
I'm not gonna I'm not gonna tune into baseball till April next season. So no worries. But look, yeah, look, final two games, guys, and I think to me, this is an exciting time because we're also going to have the international break too in between the end of the season and the start of the playoffs, which is kind of interesting, but it's a good thing except for some of the players that'll be called up. I think we can assume who will be called up. Pretty much the same players have been getting called up, and I think for the Galaxy you just have to add Joan Araujo to that roster list. But yeah, how do you let me ask you this, Alex, how do you think the Galaxy will finish?
Okay, so this game against Seattle, I think it'll be tough. I think it's going to be a low-scoring affair, and I think the Galaxy just might edge out a 1-0 victory. I think that could be possible. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. This game could go either way. It's crazy. I don't know what to think. Am I nervous? Am I excited? Am I confident? No, I'm not. I'm just Alex. That's what I'm feeling right now. I don't know what to feel going into
Just
this game. I'm just gonna be watching this game, have some cherry pie, relax,
cherry
watch
pie.
this
Look at you,
game.
you fancy.
Man, I love cherry pie. But I'm gonna be watching this, hoping for at least a point, at least 1 point. That is what I'm hoping for, at least 1 point.
One
And
point.
then the game against Minnesota is gonna be a coin flip. Really, both teams are really good. Emmanuel Reynoso had a literally beautiful penalty, Panenka, over the goalkeeper, iced veins in that penalty. I was astonished. I was like, wow,
He almost
I
got
wouldn't have
broke.
the guts to do that. But yeah, it's going to be a coin flip on decision day. Hopefully, the Galaxy are able to get a positive result there. The last times they faced Minnesota, they won the first game, mostly because of Jonathan Klinsmann heroics, and then the second time they faced them was an absolute embarrassment for the entire team.
Yeah, JP,
So
you were shaking your head there when he was talking about getting a point with the Galaxy. I
Hey,
mean, with the Sounders.
Galaxy can easily go 0 for 6 with it right now. They
I
can
know it's
easily
entirely
lose these 2
possible.
points. They could easily lose these 2 points. They could easily go 0 for 6 right now.
It's entirely possible, but hey, it's MLS. Anything can happen, right?
Anything
So
can
Anything
happen,
happen.
but I'd put my money on winning one game at most. Beating Minnesota, I don't think they beat Seattle at Seattle with Joe Paulo and Morris back. And Marian Schmetzer was livid last game. I think Seattle's coming with knives in their teeth. And
anything's possible in MLS, buddy. Anything's possible.
Anything, it's true. Anything possible. All right, JP, let me ask you the same question. How do you feel LAFC finished these last 2 games? Because we got this one tomorrow, and then obviously this weekend against the Rapids, who I should add, because I'm not going to speak to you guys. We're not going to record another podcast till next week. So we'll find out. We'll find out next Monday.
I'll see you guys in
Next week.
playoffs. I'll see you guys in playoffs.
We'll find out next Monday if both teams, one team's all right. Look, it could be an early vacation for all three of us, and no LA team makes it, which I think
That's
would be the
entirely
worst.
possible, and honestly, that's the worst case scenario.
Would be the worst thing. Look, I get a longer vacation, I guess. But yeah, how do you think the LAFC finished? Because look, I should add, you finished this season against Colorado Rapids, who you traded a player named Mark Anthony Kay, who's I think is going to come
He's
very
still
motivated to the game. To
he's an
say the
undercover
least.
agent. He's an undercover agent. So I'll act. I'll act.
Aye.
No, but I think we can beat Vancouver. I really do. I think their hot streak may come to an end. They just don't find it tomorrow for some reason, or LAFC really just come to play again. Bob really outplayed Brian Schmetzer for the first time against Seattle. So obviously Bob is going to have confidence in his tactics now going into the Whitecaps. And decision day, the Rapids might not play all their best guys. They might want to rest or whatever, try something new because they already know where they're going to end up in the season. So that might be an easier game than we expect on decision day. But like Alex said, we can easily win these last 2 games, or we could easily just lose them, tie and win, and make it more complicated for us. But before the 6-game final stretch, I told you, LAFC have the destiny in their hands, and if they manage to win these 2 games, go undefeated in the last 6 games, five wins and 1 draw, then they deserve to be in playoffs. Now, is that 7th place, 5th place? I don't know. That depends on the other teams, but 7th, I see we win these 2 games with minimum 7th.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely right there for the taking if you're able to get obviously a result tomorrow, result this weekend. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Also, paying attention to the scoreboards because you're gonna you guys may be rooting for each other, or maybe most likely that'd be the awkward thing, right? If you're an LAFC fan rooting for Galaxy to.
It's funny because this past weekend, both LA Galaxy and LAFC had to root for the San Jose Earthquakes to take care of RSL. So it was a weird week. Something both LA Galaxy and LAFC fans could agree they did, cheering down the San Jose Earthquakes, which is something that I think none of us expected to say this MLS season.
They
Yeah.
almost choked. And
Almost choked.
RSL could easily choke too. They have Timbers and they have SKC, so they easily can not be factored into this equation for playoffs either.
Yeah, and I think also think Timbers too. Like Timbers, I think Timbers finished the season against Austin FC. Austin FC is just fighting
Yeah.
for pride, obviously at this point. So a couple of those the bottom teams could definitely make some surprises because if they're able to somehow say Austin is able to beat Portland, you limit how many points they're going to be able to get. So there's a lot of things that could happen there. But yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting how the finals games will be played and how what ends up happening with these two teams. You got something
Who
to
do
say?
you who do you think makes playoffs, Gio? Who do you think makes playoffs?
I think it's a coin toss to be honest, because I don't feel confident. Because it's been, but I feel like with the Galaxy, they're there, but they played today the Sounders, and then they finished against Minnesota, and I think with if they get a point today or somehow get a point today,
Yeah,
it's
they're in.
feasible. If you get a win, then I think if you get a win against Seattle, you get a win. But if they get a loss, then it gets tricky because you got to throw everything against Minnesota United, and they're gonna throw everything at it. So I think it's a little questionable for the Galaxy. I think today's result will say a lot. If you get a point, it makes it a lot more. It makes the game easier or it makes the hopes easier on Sunday. On the LAFC side, like I love that they've been winning. I love what I've been seeing from them, the fight and seeing what Chicho's been doing. But they've been winning. But they're even though they've been winning or they haven't lost, they're still in the ninth seed. So my only thing for me on LAFC is like they could LAFC could literally potentially win out these next two games and still be out of the playoffs. Because obviously you need Vancouver, you need RSL, you need Minnesota, you need the Galaxy. So say every game doesn't go LAFC's way, even though you guys win out, and say the teams ahead of you get better results or whatever, you could win these next two games, get 6 points, and still be out,
No,
which
if we
is.
win the 6 games, we're in because if Galaxy beat Minnesota, we jump Minnesota, and then if Minnesota beats the Galaxy, we jump the Galaxy, and then by beating Vancouver, we already jumped Vancouver.
But yeah. So I'm saying, but you also Real Salt Lake. You got Real Salt Lake in there. So Real Salt Lake is also one right there. So it's like it's not a clear path for either team to make it. I hope both make it because we'll be able to go to two playoff games. But in the back of my mind, it's just like I can see both teams not making it. That's literally like how I'm feeling. I'm like I hope both make it, but I'm literally like I wouldn't be surprised. It's Sunday at 5 p.m. and then we find out because what time do you guys both play at 3 or is it
Yeah,
what
it's
time do you guys?
both. All the Western Conference games go on at the same time at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, so it's like we by 5 o'clock we will find out if both teams made it or we find out it's like hey we're going on vacation, fellas. It's time to go to Cancun. So
Yeah, I'll see Chicha in Cancun.
yeah, we'll see what happens, man. But like, yeah, no, I'm rooting for both teams, and we'll see what happens. But if neither team makes it, then it is what it is. It's honestly, I wouldn't feel bad for either team because they did it to themselves if they don't
Yep.
make it to the playoffs. It's like it was right. It was both teams had an opportunity early in the season, during the season to really extend that gap to at least be at top of the table and not be at the bottom of the table, or at least fighting in outside in. So we'll see. Do they deserve it? I don't know. It's been boring watching them. Some of them, is watching some of them play. Obviously, I know the injuries and all these different things, but to me, it's like these two teams that have this much talent should not be at the bottom. I understand this is Greg Vanny's first season and all that, but there's a lot of talent. I just feel like it's very clear to say both teams have not played to what most of us expected. We saw Galaxy start off really, really hot. LAFC, was predicted to go all the way. There's so many things that happen, but we'll see what happens. But hopefully both teams make it. If they don't, it's on them, and we'll have to come back here and talk about it. But
Yep.
look,
So
guys, I
so
think
many what ifs for both teams, if we're being
yeah, yeah.
honest. So many
No,
what
go
ifs.
yeah, exactly. It's literally what if this happens and this
Yeah,
event.
like for the Galaxy, like I can say like, oh, if Chicharito doesn't get hurt, what if we don't have like all these COVID measures that bring in our players so late and at different times of the season? Because it was so hard for Vandy to kind of be like, okay, I have to evaluate my players while they play, give them playing time, and I have to bench some of my starters to figure out what I can play and how I can play. So I know it's tough for him to evaluate what to do this year, and I'm pretty sure for LAFC, same thing. What if Vela doesn't get hurt? What if he can stay on the field? And even too, what if we had Chicho to start the year? Because I can't imagine how many goals he'd be scoring in MLS if he went the whole year with LAFC.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. And I did say at the start of the season, which I thought was bold, Chicharito would get or would have to get 15 points or 15 goals to at least help the team make the playoffs. So I'm hoping he just gets 15 goals just to make me look good, and then he's not going to make the playoffs, Or it could happen like that. It makes me look good, and then they'll make the playoffs, or he doesn't get 15 goals and then make the playoffs. But we'll see.
LAFC go for 6 for 6 and just give us MLS Cup. Might as well.
Look, that would be the most impressive
Season ever.
roller coaster. No, the most impressive roller coaster of a season. If somehow LAFC makes it and gets a deep run,
It would be like a perfect like documentary, if we're being honest. It literally was so much went on that season, and then
30
all
for
that
30.
going on. Yeah, basically it would be its own 30 for 30, which would be perfect, honestly, because it would be such a good story.
it would be. I would definitely change a lot of people's opinion. Oh, it may not change a lot of people's opinions about Bob Bradley, but if
I think it would.
if he's able to get a hot streak and somehow they make it to MLS Cup and then somehow that anything like literally anything can happen in the playoffs. But I think as a 7th seed is harder. You got to get it a little higher in the standings. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens because there's a lot of magic that could be had in the playoffs, and we're hoping at least one of the LA teams gets in there, so we can cover it. But I think that's it, guys. Any final thoughts? You guys, any final thoughts before we wrap things up?
I'll just say it's just nerve-wracking having this all go down decision day, to be honest. It's exciting for sure, but obviously if you're rooting for one of the LA clubs, you obviously wish you kind of would have had your playoff berth established a couple of weeks ago, like a lot of MLS teams, and it's nerve-wracking and exciting at the same time, but it's MLS, anything can happen and stuff, and hopefully one team in LA makes it at least. That way Gio, doesn't have to go to vacation early and stuff. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Like
JP?
I told Andy before the San Jose game, they win this game, they make the playoffs. I told you on the podcast, LAFC control their own destiny, so they got to win out, and hopefully I'll see you guys in playoffs. But yeah, I mean, I think LAFC can do it. I have the feeling tomorrow's the final, as the first real final, and we'll just get the 3 points there.
Wait, is tomorrow's LAFC game here in Los Angeles?
Yeah, it is here.
It's at the
Oh, I might go. Bring my Vancouver jersey.
And then Vancouver.
I'm thinking about it.
You said we'll be there. We'll be
Vancouver's on one less day rest. Yeah, they have one less day of rest, and then they have to travel. So
yeah, I think I'll bring my Vancouver jersey to the game.
there. Yeah, we'll be there. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be Tuesday game. It's interesting, right? But yeah, we'll definitely be there, and we'll see what happens. Look, I for me, it's like, look, if you want to be in the playoffs, make it happen for both teams. You're gonna make it happen, and if you don't, you don't. Like if you can't make it happen, if you can't make it happen in these last 2 games, you don't deserve to make it in the playoffs because the playoffs are not, they're not even. They're not gonna get any easier once you're in the playoffs. So rooting for one of these teams to make it. Hopefully that happens so we can continue covering. But look, that's gonna wrap things up. I know it was a lot short of a podcast than it usually is, but I think we got to cover a couple things. And it's an interesting week game, like I said, game on a Monday, game on a Tuesday. So this is the best way we were able to record today's podcast, just so we can get it out and people, good thing people can listen to it a lot sooner. So guys, that's gonna wrap things up for Alex, for JP. This is Gio. We'll catch you guys next time. Bye, everybody.